What is going on? I'm Ryan. That's Jarrod. Dang it, I pointed the wrong way again. There we go.
Almost had it. We'll get it one day.
Yep, we are statistically opinionated. We're here to talk about sports stats, opinions, and whatever the hell else comes on the show while we're doing it. What's going on, man?
The Masters are wrapping up. It's been kind of a crazy weekend in sports in general. We got baseball kicking off, basketball getting interesting, and golf at its, the best tournament of the year is their first tournament. So it's kind of
It's absolutely amazing that opening day of baseball or opening weekend, let's say, NBA regular season is ending tonight, and the Masters has taken every single bit of the attention away from that with Tiger just playing golf out there. I think it's amazing. It's so awesome to watch him out there. Um, Hey, we can roll right into the Masters, man. Start talking about it and
let's roll.
just hit it up. So you got Scheffler leading. I believe he's pretty much led the whole tournament. So it's not even like it's been fair. He's the number one in the world. There's no doubt about it. I believe he's up 5 strokes right now with a hole or two left. I don't have it up currently, but
Just before we started, it's updated. This went past. Rory finished. He's up 3 strokes. He just finished. He just finished right now. So he won by 3. Rory finished second.
3 strokes. So he's the fifth person, and Tiger, I think, did it twice. There's 3 other guys that went in as the number one ranked and won the Masters, and he's absolutely dominated it. There hasn't been a doubt. But the story of the whole weekend, no matter what, and it's great that Scheffler won. It's awesome seeing guys out there like Rory grind it out and try to make it up to the top. Tiger playing golf in this facet is just absolutely amazing. Nobody thought it was going to happen, and wow, I couldn't take my eyes off of it.
I joke about this. I've played, probably upwards of hundreds of rounds together playing golf, and I've had very minor knee surgeries and other surgeries in my body, and I feel like I can barely walk 18 in a weekend. And this dude, goes out and plays 4 rounds at maybe the hardest golf course in the world, definitely the hardest conditions, that you could possibly imagine. It was awesome. Dude could have shot triple digits that we wouldn't have cared. It'd have been super awesome to see. Thursday was amazing. I think you and I texted back and forth.
Yeah.
Probably 40 or 50 text messages. Did you see that shot right there? He shot par, but did you see that shot right there? So it's kind of cool, man. It was a great weekend for golf. Hopefully this is opening some doors for him to keep playing throughout the year.
Well, and you definitely saw it from the fans. He walked off the 18th. He had a horrible day today. He didn't finish by far, probably maybe one of the worst finishes in a major he's ever had, or in golf in general. And he walked off, and the fans went absolutely nuts.
Definitely by making the cut, yeah.
What he means to golf and like just the golf world, not including fans, but including the people out there playing. Because I guarantee you, when he played with Rahm, when he had I can't even, was it Neiman and Houston? I can't even say
on Thursday. Yeah.
Ears. I just call him Ears every time I see him. He's got some massive ears on him. But every time he's out there, people are going wild, and it's a different spectacle to see when he's shoot. The practice rounds were full of people just wanting to watch Tiger play golf. It's amazing.
It's a league of its own is probably the best way to describe this. And I'm kind of glad we're rolling right into this. It was a conversation on Ready Break that was brought in that I chimed in on. It was like, who's the most influential athlete, at least of our lifetime? I'm going to say ever, but of our lifetime, it has to be Tiger Woods. It has to be Tiger Woods. I can't think of, there's only maybe 1 or 2 other players or 2, 3 other athletes that are even in that realm. I mean, you got Jordan with the branding, NBA was dying. I would say that if he came along a little earlier, we could probably say Jordan over Tiger, but Dale Earnhardt in racing, I think, comes to mind of like NASCAR is still relevant. Yeah, exactly. But NASCAR is still relevant because of a dude who died 21 years ago or 20 years ago. Like,
you laugh, man. I went to a concert last weekend, and they literally Dale Earnhardt flag out there, and heard a raise hail, praise Dale out there.
As long as there's NASCAR, people will be doing that, and I think the same will be said for golf. I mean, you and I were sharing some pictures, and Scheffler's sitting here, the number 1 player in the world. He's wearing Tiger Woods cleats.
Yeah,
out here playing. Right? I mean, it's insane. It's
that picture, like literally, just when I saw it, I messaged it to you. I was like, man, we got to talk about it because it's insane that Tiger's out there hobbling around. You could clearly see, at least yesterday. I didn't watch a ton of it today. I did see parts of it. He definitely doesn't look 100%, we'll call it whatever you want. He's struggling walking around. He's still got some issues going on there, but he's out there playing. And you've got guys that have grown up watching him play golf. That's what they want to be. And shoot, number one in the world, like you said, wearing some Tiger Woods shoes, just hanging out, playing golf, getting to watch him.
It's crazy. And it's just insane. I think I've made it a point that I will go watch Tiger Woods play at some point. And it's probably going to be kind of soon. We've probably got 10 years of watching him play golf before he legitimately hangs up. I don't know if he'll ever do like the senior tour, at least a full tour. But I want to see it. I've got to see it. So, and I'll kind of just talk about how relevant he is. There was a couple of headlines going around. I don't know if you noticed this, but or if you're definitely familiar with the Tiger Slam. He won all 4 tournaments in a calendar year, all 4 majors. The set of irons that he used to win those tournaments. Now, it is a mix and match of the irons. Sold 12 years ago for $56,000 at auction. 2 days ago, they sold for $5 million.
That's ridiculous, man.
So, the dude has just. It's so relevant today how many people play golf just because of that guy right there. He modernized like fandom in golf. I'm not saying people didn't like it, but in the 80s and 90s, yeah, it was great. You got to see some great players, but you didn't have people throwing beers on. I mean, just going absolutely ape shit during tournaments because all you do is walk across tee box.
Like, yep. All right. He's definitely changed it. I agree with you. If we could hook it up, yeah, there you go. Rockstar Golf. Just put it out there. I mean. If we could do it, both of us get together, go watch Tiger play golf. I guarantee you, we'd put it on the internet, let you guys watch it with us.
It won't be at Augusta, but we would do it.
No, I would have had to join the wait list 37 years ago.
That and they confiscate your phones as you're walking in too. But it'd be kind of cool. Maybe go check him out at a PGA Championship, something like that. I mean, I say like downplaying it, like I'll just go to one of the 4 majors this year. But I mean, I think it would be really cool to do and really cool to check out.
That's what I got of the Masters. Great for Scheffler. He's just continuing on. World number 1. What do you say? I think I forget who said it at one point. It might have been Spieth or maybe Rory, but they were like, if you could play like your 3-4 month stretch, your greatest golf you could play, you'd want to do it starting right now. And they were like, Scheffler's doing it. Like he's hit the note and he's just going to continue on right now. So it'll be fun to watch him through the rest of the season. I hate to say it, but him just kind of dominating it, and the conditions were tough. It's not fun playing in that cold, a little rain here or there, but he just took over the course and he won. There's nothing else you can say about that. That's his green jacket.
I mean, you look at all the greats, and when I say greats, I'm gonna look back like 30 years to current guys that are still playing. You got Spieth, who went on a historical run for a few years. Rory, who's got like 3 or 4 majors, Koepka, who's got 3 or 4 majors. That these guys have been playing 15 years, 20 years on tour right now, 15 years. I mean, he's absolutely right. You want to get hot, you want to do it now, because these big majors, these 45-year-old dudes, they've played these courses enough that they know the little ins and outs. There's a reason why Tiger Woods can still go out here and shoot up under par, round. It's because he's played so many rounds there that he knows every little nook and cranny, every bump and run on that course. So, for Scheffler to be hot right now, it's awesome. Let's hope he carries on for the sport of golf. We want to see Tiger win, but I'd love to see somebody make a run and win, 2 or 3 majors in a row. That'd be awesome. It just makes it work that much better.
Yeah, it makes it exciting. I think part of that tweet that we were talking about with the Tiger shoes was the fact that, he's what, late 40s. He's going into massive accident 17 months ago, I believe is what it was. Yeah. So nobody knew he was going to come back and play golf. Still beat 75% of the golf world by going out there and playing golf. So it's insane.
Which kind of makes me want to roll into this. So news that came out Friday-ish is that, Phil self-imposed sanctions that he did not go to the Masters tournament for whatever reason. At first he made it sound like he wasn't invited, but, Masters officials came out and said that he was still, we still wanted Phil to play. He was never told he couldn't come. I'm sure there was going to be a conversation that had to take place, but
I bet there would.
Who wins the next major of the two, Phil or Tiger?
Man, that's hard. I want to say Tiger because I love Tiger, but the problem is I love Phil too. I love what he brings to golf. He makes it interesting. I like that he goes out there and gives them the Larry Bird talk for 72 straight holes, and he doesn't care. He just does what he does. So I think Tiger winning it would mean more to the world, but I think Phil going out there and just having like Phil fun
Yeah.
makes it amazing to watch. Phil makes that environment where you're on like, the par three where you're in the gallery and people are throwing beers out because you rocked an ace or something like that. That's his type of environment. It's not Tiger's, and I hate to say it, Tiger's as amazing as he's been for golf. He's never been I don't want to say party guy, but he's never been the guy that's like out there with the fans just loving life. So I enjoy, like, what was it earlier this year? I think it was Sawgrass, or no, not Sawgrass, Arizona, out at Arizona somewhere. Man, those dudes were, shooting aces on a par three, and the galleries throwing beers out into the middle of the greens.
So you got the waste management tourney that was like whole.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's that's turning into like a huge spectacle. And then you had it's awesome. And it was not the Ryder Cup, but what were we watching? Whatever.
I don't know. I don't know what we were watching, but the excitement that comes off of that, you're just there, and like I get it, the golf world that the what would they call them? The old timers of golf hate it. They hate seeing that party environment, but
gonna have to get over
does it make golf fun?
Yeah, it almost humanizes it, if you will. So
I think I beat around
the Ryder Cup. So it was the Ryder Cup, but I was thinking back in September. I was like,
that's where they were chugging beers off the tee box, man. That was awesome.
But, no, you're talking like waste management there, the waste management journey, which is awesome. And that would be, it's becoming like the second hardest tickets in golf to get is to go to that tournament over 2 other major championships, which is kind of funny.
And it's because of the environment that's put there. That's what
they
people
allow it to happen.
I feel I beat around the bush answering that question as to who I wanted to win, between the two of them, the next major. But I did lead us into a perfect talking about baseball. We are going to talk baseball on here. So the baseball purists, you're going to hate us for this. Anybody that wants to see baseball exciting, maybe we're changing the channel over to watch someone rip dingers every once in a while, which seems exciting to me. We'll go right into it, and we're not even going to leave it off with the MLB. We're going to leave it off with the Savannah Bananas. If you guys, the 2 people watching, whoever else listens to this later on, if you guys have not heard of the Savannah Bananas or have not seen anything they do, please go online and look for them. They have made baseball an absolute party, and It's absolutely amazing. So the rules behind it that they've self-imposed. Every inning counts, so every inning they play, you get a point for it. It's not like a constant 9 innings. Whoever wins at the end, that's who wins it. So that's exciting. 2-hour time limit. Thank you. I've watched a lot of baseball games and been to a lot of games where I sit there forever and I'm not very excited. I think we went to a Braves game where nobody scored because we got there late and it was already done after the first inning.
Yeah, there was a fight that broke out 5 minutes before we get there, and then the game sits tied up for 8 innings or so.
Yep.
Hot dogs were good.
Yeah, we crushed those. You can't step out of the box once you get into it. I think that's amazing. You get in there, you're ready to hit a ball, and that's what happens. No bunting. Get that out of here, even though small ball is kind of fun every once in a while. Batters can steal first on a wild or errant pitch. That's a new way of looking at it. No walks allowed. One-on-one showdown tiebreaker, which I think is fun to think of. You got a pitcher and a catcher thrown to a batter. You either strike him out or you're the one that has to stop him from getting to home. That's a lot of running for a pitcher.
That's awesome.
No mound visits at all. If a pitcher's going bad, you just get him out there, put someone else in. And then I think the funnest one of all to make baseball just super exciting. If a fan catches a foul ball, that's an out. And how amazing is that, man? You're out there with your 22-ounce beer that you paid $92 for, and you're throwing down your deer because you want to catch this ball that goes out there, man. Or if it's, the Bananas hitting it and you're just trying to knock it down so that they get to swing in the bat again.
I love it. You know what? We have to make it a point. That's, as we were talking right before we came on here, is we got to catch a game. I mean, their tickets sell out. Like, their world tour goes as far as Kansas. And ESPN
puts their games, streams their games. ESPN Plus does. So like I said, if you haven't seen them, get online. They do crazy choreography. I mean, I think they play a kilt game every year. These guys are having a blast. I think they're part of like the Carolina League. It's college guys, right? If I believe so. I can't remember exactly what the league is.
I
But
didn't even make it that far when we were going bananas about them there. No pun intended.
hey, but I just think it's fun. It brings a fun part of the game. I get that the baseball purists will hate it because it's changing up. But if you've watched baseball in the past decade, maybe or two, it is changing. They are changing rules nonstop. They changed them this year for a more exciting game. So old baseball is slowly slipping away, I guess is what you'd call it. It's a business. We'll continue to say this throughout this whole show because we're going to go down the line. We promise you Deshaun Watson talk. We're going to give you Deshaun Watson talk. This is a business that these guys run. The business makes money. If they're not making money, they're going to change it in a way that makes money.
Yeah.
And I don't argue that.
Yeah. I mean, man, you kind of opened up a whole different can of worms there. I kind of want to jump across multiple platforms, but
we'll get there. We'll get there.
I still look at my note how to make baseball cool to me, and it's not to talk shit on baseball fans, but like they definitely need to ramp it up a little bit. But I do want to go into this digital play calling.
There you go.
It's kind of like a change in the game, right? So I first noticed this on, I believe it was the Yankees opening game on Friday. Actually, I take that back. It was one of their preseason games that they were doing, one of their spring ball games, and catcher wears this little wrist bracelet looking thing, and he calls a play to a pitcher, and it's very simple. It's like a slider, down and out, something like that. It's very simple how it goes. I didn't really look much into it at the time, but about the next day, I was kind of curious because now I'm seeing a lot of these teams using it. And what happens is when the catcher calls his pitch or whatever, the pitcher has a microphone or a speaker in one of their ears, like above their ear, or in their hat above their ears. It tells them to pitch, but two other players on the field have to get that same call as well. So generally, whoever's running your infield and one of your outfielders are going to get that call as well. Why they do that?
No,
I mean, I can only make
probably to know defensively if you're going to throw it down and away. Maybe a pitch that's meant to be hit to opposite field or something like that. Yeah. Defensively, it makes sense.
Definitely kind of cool to see that. I was trying to think of some ways to kind of incorporate this in the show of I always want to see sports progress, teams progress, and games progress. You want to see things get better, right? The instant replay in any sport is amazing. It really does clear up a lot of stuff. There's a lot of Super Bowls and a lot of NBA championships that would go the other way if there was instant replay. It's just how that works.
Yeah, of course.
But it's kind of cool to see baseball doing this. I mean, I guess I'm on the fence though, to see some traditional play calling, because that kind of, I guess the ambiance of stealing plays and calls and all this other stuff. It kind of makes that adding that cheating aspect into baseball is kind of neat to think about, I guess. But I don't know. Kind of interested to see how this goes out for the rest of the season. See if it stays after the season. So who knows?
I don't know. We'll see. So the catcher has 9 choices based off like the wrist module they wear that they can call, basically. I wonder. Obviously, 9 choices seems a little. You can make tons of choices as a catcher as to where you want to pitch based off the batter. So I feel like incorporating it is fantastic, and you get it in the game. Up to 5 receivers can be used at any given time. So obviously, a pitcher and 4 other players may get what's coming in. It'd be fun to see what happens with it. I don't know. I kind of like the traditional. I played catcher as a kid, so I enjoyed calling pitches. That was my job. Like, hey man, you're gonna pitch this? No, okay. Hey, we're gonna do this again. How about that? And just keeping it away from the other team. That was a big deal too. So sorry, man, I cut you off there.
Oh no, I was just thinking all throughout playing baseball up until high school, I was either second base or catcher. I just wonder if they put me back there because I couldn't field worth the shit, or if it was the other way around. I don't know. So, I need to go back and start asking those old coaches if they're still around.
I know I couldn't because I played catcher and first base, so there wasn't much in the fielding aspect for me. But I could talk shit like a champion. So, yeah, whatever.
Oh, that's perfect. I think one of the topic we want to hit on with baseball, right, because we love stats. It's data-driven opinions is kind of the premise of this whole show. So we're going to talk contracts. I think the
Man.
most relevant contract that we're going to talk about right now is supposedly over the last 7 to 10 days, Aaron Judge was offered a 7-year contract from the Yankees, structured around 213 million with
Yep.
17 million in arbitration, which is basically the way I understand arbitration in their contracts is to basically make up this year so they can start their extension next year. So he's not getting paid
Yep.
chump change this year. They plus up this year, and then the contract starts next year.
Yep.
Not only did he say no, the first thing he said no to is that he wanted 20 million in arbitration. So the 17 million wasn't quite enough. We needed 20 million for this year. And just for perspective here, this guy's 30 years old and just turned down a 7-year, $230 million deal. I don't know where baseball's at. I don't know where baseball money's at, but that's kind of crazy because now I'm going to be absolutely watching the ticker, doing news updates because I'm kind of curious to what kind of money he really wants.
So yeah, supposedly he came in at 21 million, and that's what Yankees offered, countered with 17 for the arbitration. But still, 213.5 for 7 years is a ridiculous amount of money. It brings the whole contract to about 230 million for 7 years. I agree with you. He's 30 years old now. You know, I think when I looked at the numbers, it make him like top 5 paid baseball players. I don't know what the guarantee was because I know that makes a big difference. There's some players that are, guaranteed a full contract of 200 million, making 17 million a year, whereas another player will be guaranteed a contract of 180 million, but they could make 300 million. So they do weird deals in there.
Their baseline deals are all guaranteed. So the front line of that is going to be 7 years, 213 million, 230 million, no matter what. Now they do incentives for I think milestones is like the big one you see in baseball. We'll have to get Brandon or one of those guys on here to really kind of break down more of the baseball deals and stuff like that. But so it's 230 million, and that dude doesn't have to come to work anymore. He can lay an egg for the next 7 years. He's making that dough.
Yep. So Bryce Harper's 13, 330, Mookie Betts 12, 365, Mike Trout's 12 years, 426.
Damn.
So it wouldn't make him the highest paid player, but it'd put him up there, and I believe that's what he wants. Now, does he deserve it? I don't watch enough baseball to say that I can, inside of me, like it'd be like you telling me James Harden's worth 250 million in basketball, and I'd be like, no, absolutely not.
Not a chance.
He's not worth 250 million, but somebody will pay him. And I think that's the big thing to talk about is that I do believe as the baseball world, you've got teams that, obviously they stay low in the payroll and they want to work with what they got. If you've ever seen the movie Moneyball, that's like a big idea of it is that, the Athletics are a small ball team. They pay for what they can pay for, and they try to win like that. The Yankees are your Yankees, and they pay for whatever they want and try to win championships like that. It's worked out. They've won a shit ton of championships.
Yeah.
So obviously, if you have money, you win in baseball. But I feel like someone's going to pay him. If the Yankees don't do it, somebody's going to pay him the money. Guy's what, like 6'7", 260, hits the ball about 900 yards. When
he's Gronkowski that hit the baseball. Like he's a gigantic human being, but like you're absolutely right. When you start talking like these smaller market, I would say not really self-imposed salary caps. Because there's 5 or 6 teams in Major League Baseball that don't spend $40 or $50 million total.
Yeah, exactly.
There's baseball players that are making more than an entire like Orioles roster. So it's kind of interesting if he's worth. Yeah, no, you're good. It's kind of interesting. Is he worth $33 million a year? I would say probably, man. Like it kind of got me right there.
They went off.
He's a 40 home run guy, 130 games a year, give or take. I mean, is he a top player in the league? By averages, absolutely. By total numbers, no, not so much. But somebody's going to pay him. I'm going to be following it. If there's anything this show even talks about when it comes to baseball, I'm going to be following his contract and other aspects of that. So it's probably the most I've ever talked about baseball my entire life.
So, I agree. I think we've carried on about 15 minutes of baseball and
baseball gibberish.
It's a little saddening, but whatever. It was opening day. I think Friday started opening day for the baseball world, and that's exciting.
Well, there was Thursday. There were like 3 games that were
Oh, were
postponed to
there?
Friday, or 2 games postponed to Friday.
Well, Tiger was playing, so
We'll blame golf and just laugh about it, whether that was the truth or not.
I did want to put, and we talked about it. This kid in Japan, I forget his name. He's in the Japanese league, the Japanese Sasaki. 19 strikeouts in a perfect game, which is absolutely ridiculous. The kid's 20 years old, and I would imagine on his way to the Major League Baseball world, probably in a 365-day span, probably coming in there.
For any and all fans of this show, anybody who listens to this show, any of the groups that we follow, you forgive me. I had to actually look up his name because his name's Roki Sasaki.
Yep.
I'm going to nerd out on just a little bit because I started thinking of Ninja Turtles. Was it Orokosaki's his name? So I was like, it kind of freaked me out for a second when I first saw that. I was like, I've had a couple of beers before we started the show, but I had to really do the old eye squint to make sure I read that correctly.
I love
this
it.
kid will be he'll be in the major leagues next year, more than likely. I wouldn't see why not. Like somebody will absolutely jump on that grenade.
Yeah,
I don't care at what level of baseball you are playing, and unless it's like Dominican leagues where you're 35 playing against 11-year-olds. That's a pretty amazing feat. 19 strikeouts, perfect game. So he will get a shot in the majors.
He's thrown a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He shook out 13 straight batters at one point, which is absolutely mind-boggling. Also, 105 pitches to log a perfect game, which is absolutely insane in my mind.
It's awesome.
Well, that feels good about baseball. I feel a little sad that we talked so long on it, and we can move right into the NBA because I feel like over this last week that we've been on, the NBA landscape has changed completely. I think let's just start with the MVP. We'll start MVP chat because that's kind of been narrowed down to about 3 guys, and then we can roll into the playoffs, which has a lot more implications. You got Jokic, Giannis, Embiid. So Jokic, 27.1, 13.8, 7.9. Giannis, 29.9, 11.6, 5.8. And then Embiid, he's going to take the scoring title this year, 30.4. I believe that's yesterday's numbers. I didn't grab today's.
I think he locked it in today with Giannis.
He scored 44 points, I believe, today.
Yeah. He locked it in when Giannis sat. It locked in him winning the title today. So
yep. So I mean, 3 big dudes. It makes me happy. 3 big guys that play basketball. I love seeing this in this world again because big guy basketball is absolutely enjoyable. It's what made me like the NBA. I'm not 7 feet tall. I'll never be 7 feet tall, but those big monsters really, they play a different brand of basketball. I did want to point out, out of all the guys, Embiid's taking the scoring title, and he's kind of carried Philadelphia to where they're at. Joker is the first person in NBA history to put up 2K points, 1,000 rebounds, and 500 assists in a season. And if you're talking about something you did in an NBA season that just like checks the block of, hey, you were the best of the year, I feel like doing something nobody's ever done to that level is pretty amazing. I know you got numbers to back.
Oh, I've already got it pulled up here. I've got it pulled up. I can't wait to do it.
Yeah.
I will say Jokic is my absolute pick for MVP. We talked about it last week. I was like, it's a no-brainer. At the point, I did say, if LeBron won the scoring title and they made the playoffs, I think he would get it. Neither of those happened. We're probably not going to go in depth about that.
We are.
So 2,000, 1,000, and 500 never happened before. He's the absolute MVP. I have no problem with that. But I want to throw out a stat line here because 2,000, 1,000, and 500 has not happened. But I will tell you what has happened is 1,956 points. Oh man, actually, I'm gonna come back a little bit. 1,992, so 8 points short of 2,000. 1,952 rebounds and 702 assists. Those rebounds and assists both led the NBA that year. That was Wilt Chamberlain in 1968. So
it'd almost be like a 2K.
If he would have scored 8 more points, it would have been a 2K, 1.9K, 700. But still, 200 or 2,000, 1,500 has not happened, and it's awesome, especially in today's league. Like you said, big men still playing big man ball, but if you watch,
he's a little outlier, man.
dude. He plays with the chip on his shoulder. Some would say dirty. We'll keep it politically
I
correct,
love it.
but it's it's great. He's MVP. I don't think there's any way, and they're in the playoffs and they're in the hunt. So like, there's no way that you can even say otherwise that he's not the MVP now, scoring title or not. And Embiid can get over it, man. Here's the thing: you got to do a little more than score. If you want to be the big dog in the league, and show us what you can do in the playoffs, because Embiid has absolutely flailed or been hurt in the last 3 or 4 years. So
Yeah, I'd
that's it.
agree with you. Embiid, he took the points, but he's still what, 2 rebounds behind per game and like 3 to 4 assists behind per game. So production overall hasn't been as stellar as Jokic. The 2K 1K 500 is still insane to me because just so many years in the NBA. Obviously, you brought up numbers that are pretty close to it, and I bet you if we wanted to play this game next week, we'd come out with a stat that somebody did this year that nobody's ever done in the NBA,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
that's kind of how, hey, check this thing out. But it's still pretty amazing. Like you said, they're in the hunt. They are in the playoffs, 6th seed, I believe, in the Western Conference. Philadelphia, if you want to be 100% honest, even though Embiid's taking the scoring title, has fallen from a team that could possibly take him first place. They're going to do 5th place now, or 4th place. 4th
Man,
is what they're ending up at.
I wonder when they started falling off. Probably right before.
Is it when the Enigma joined?
Yeah, it's probably right there on the All-Star break, right around the trade deadline.
Yeah.
I want to save. We can talk about it now, but I want to save it for that little time come June when we're trying to figure out shit to talk about that we can just absolutely take a turd all over James Harden, because neither of us have really anything good to say about him.
Nah.
But
Most selfish basketball player I've ever seen.
Absolutely. But it's
Him
kind
and
of crazy.
Carmelo.
It's kind of crazy when you start like talking like drop offs of teams, but going from 1st to 5th in a matter of about 7 weeks is fairly significant. But I believe your Heat took number 1 overall.
Yeah.
The playoffs, so.
I super excited about that. We'll see what comes out of that, because they're going to play one of 3 teams. It's impossible to say because, of course, you got the play-in tournament. So actually one of 4 technically, I guess, because they could play Brooklyn, Cleveland, Atlanta, or Charlotte. I'll be 100% honest. The team I don't want to play out of all of that is Brooklyn. I think anybody in the East right now, you've got those 2 guys. You got Kyrie and Durant. It'd be 2 guys you don't want to see. They've had a struggle for a season. I've 100% said it since the trade was made for Durant, Harden, and Kyrie to go there. I don't think they'll ever win a championship. Defensively, they're the giant liability that plays basketball right now. And offense, as exciting as offense is, sometimes offense doesn't come. It's not reliable every single game. Defense is the one thing you can rely on every single game. If you play solid defense, that's what you do. So who knows? They could make it out of a round, possibly into like a semifinal or something. But I just don't see them pushing all the way to the championship. Problem is if they do make it out of the play-in, they're going to go into play Miami, and it's tough. I don't care what team you are; it's a tough team to play. You got 2 scorers on that team, and there's nothing you can do but hope one of them's off.
I mean, there was I won't name the show that I was listening to, mainly because I can't remember exactly. I knew where it came from, but we'll sound real official when we say it. The Brooklyn Nets are the one team you don't want to see in the playoffs, but they're probably the last team you'll pick out of the East to win the championship.
Yeah.
Just for exactly every reason that you just named right there. I will gladly be one of the guys that says that I don't put Durant in my top list of guys. In the league right now, yes. I think he's the 2nd best small forward in the league right now. And when his game's rolling, he's the best. Like he's that good. He's about to, next year, probably moving forward for next 3 or 4 years, he's going to be the best forward in the league. And that's when Kawhi's not playing, kind of thing. But there's something about Durant. He doesn't carry.
I don't like him
very well. I don't like him. It's his stupid
That's
face.
100% right here.
Yeah, it's his 7-foot face that I don't like. His 7-foot, 163-pound soaking wet body. I don't like. But no, he's one of those guys that's going to be an all-time great that needs the support around him to facilitate what he needs. He is the best he is the best big boy shooter we have ever seen, and I don't care how many Dirk like fans that upsets to say that, but it's the actual truth. But his game does not elevate a team like other players do in this league. And yes, he can drop a 40 piece on you all day long, but he's going to give up 40. Like he, historically speaking, does not shut people down. Kyrie, on the other hand, is a great point guard. He's probably a top 5 point guard in the league. He hasn't been around, so is that team fluidity there? Who knows? But I think we both agreed on this last year. It was never going to work. However, we did say at the beginning of the season, I think we both agreed on this. If Ben Simmons starts playing with that team,
it's insane. You should be afraid.
That changes things drastically. The fact that he's not going to play this year is disturbing. So the Nets are a next year team, and I do believe when we start talking about the East. So I'm going to call it now, since by the time we talk next week, the playoffs have already started.
Yeah, they will.
The Heat's great. I still am going to stick with the Bucks to win it all.
You can't go against them. They're the champs, man.
But I'm going to tell you that there's like 3 teams in there that are going to get a little weird, but I would say the Celtics are the one team that can make a run right here because they can score all day long, and their whole lineup can score.
I think my issue with the Celtics, I'd call them for it, but they lost their big man. I can't remember the name right now.
Had a meniscus here.
Yeah. So I think that hurts them big time because they can't keep, you just can't. It doesn't work as there you go. It doesn't work as good. I do agree with you though. If they had Williams, I would be terrified as a Heat fan of those guys coming in because I think they can do the job. I'm going to pick the Heat. I'm going to pick the Heat. There's no doubt about it.
You should. It's playoff time. You should be picking your team.
Yeah. I can't. It's hard not to pick Giannis and the Bucks though, because they've done it. They know what it takes to get there to do it, and they know what it takes to get over the hump and get to that point. So that's where the one spot I'd say maybe the Heat are lacking is they don't have a guy down there. I mean, they've got Udonis that's been there for
at least
about 3 decades now. Yeah,
at least 30 years.
I think he played with Alonzo at one point, but I believe he's the one guy on the team that has like the experience of understanding. Like he was there for Dwayne Wade just doing it all. He was there for the big 3 doing it and what it took to do all that. So maybe he brings the team together. But as we saw a couple weeks ago, those guys were fighting on the sideline.
But that might be a good thing too. I mean, it's there's no complacency
maybe he knew
there. Maybe keeping the team fired up. So.
I'll take a Pat Riley team with Eric Spoelstra at the helm any day of the week because
they've done it before. So.
I want to say it, but Spoelstra is the one coach LeBron hasn't gotten fired.
Interesting take. So I have in our notes here that I did want to talk some LeBron offseason stuff. I would actually ask if we wait to move into next week before we talk about that. Not because I don't want to, but we have about 25 minutes left, and we got a lot of football to really go into. Not that I'm trying to
No, you're good, man. I think we got a really good subject on the football talk that we promised the fans, the one watching, the fan that liked it.
The fan. I think it's me watching it too, by the way. Here, let me.
Oh, is it you? If you get off of there, nobody else is paying.
I don't want to do it.
I'm not gonna lie. It is one of the nicest days we've had here in a long time. And if we weren't doing this, I'd be outside just partying. But we'll move in.
No, it's awesome.
We'll move into USFL first. They start up Saturday, I believe, is their first game. If you guys want football in the spring, I can't tell you what it's going to bring you. I just know there'll be 11 people lining up against 11 people playing a game, and maybe that's exciting. I don't know, but it can't be worse than not watching anything. So
I have to
tune in. We'll talk about it next week. We'll see what happens. NFL news, Gronk, he came out. He said if he's going to play, he's only going to play with the Bucks. I think that kind of makes a stamp that, like, if Gronk comes back, you know where he's going. He didn't say he's coming back, though, so I don't know how to take it. Gronk doesn't want to do, mandatory training and off-season shit. He'll come back when that's over with.
He'll come back when Tom asks him to. Going to the USFL, I will promise you guys here this much. I will be going to a game. Houston's only like 2 hours away from me, and I will go to a game. I don't know what, it may be garbage. It's going to be better than the
Yeah.
football that I got this time last year. So
None.
exactly. So we know that's going to be better. I'll keep an eye out for this, and we'll we'll report.
Maybe I'll make it down to Birmingham or something and go watch a game. We'll see.
I like it. Or we can meet in New Jersey. Nah, doesn't sound right.
No, thank you.
So, yeah, I think Gronk is. There's no reason to think that Gronk won't play this year. He's waiting to see what Tom wants to do. I think there was a lot of up in the air with Tom not wanting to play in Tampa. I mean, obviously we can talk about that. There was a lot of
going
around. So.
You led right into it. So let's go into, because I heard a great conversation about this. I feel like we can expand on it. I don't know.
I'm out of beer. Damn it.
So the whole thought behind it was Brady, maybe, possibly, it was reported through different news sources, not a ton of them, but some, that Brady had an opportunity to go down to Miami with a minority stake in the team and play for the Dolphins. That was it was going to be part of his contract. He'd own part of the Dolphins. Sean Payton would go with him. They would be together down there, and I don't know what that would bring. I don't know if that makes Miami an immediate Super Bowl contender, but I can tell you it would make them closer than they were at that time. It would be a good way to go about saying that. I don't think they get Tyreek out of the deal if that's what would have happened, because from what I understood, it was like 2 number 1 picks for both guys. They had to draft capital, so it worked. But the conspiracy behind it, I heard, was from old Bill Belichick. He sent out a tweet to Brian Flores months ago. We've all heard the backstory about it, congratulating him for the job when he sent it to the wrong Brian. And the conspiracy behind that was Bill knew what was going down in Miami and purposely sent out the wrong tweet to kind of make Miami less desirable for Brady and Peyton. I don't know how you feel about it. I don't know if I take it as 100% fact, but I do take it as it doesn't seem far-fetched that something like that happens. I don't send out the wrong messages very often. I make sure when I'm sending something important like that, it's going to the right person. You know what I mean?
If the Dolphins don't win the Super Bowl this year, it's going to be easy to look back and say, man, we probably could have won it if we'd had Tom Brady and Sean Payton. So the shoulda, coulda, woulda will always be there. I'm very curious to how that. I saw a lot of rumors floating around months ago, right after he retired, that supposedly Tom Brady had reached out about wanting to play in Miami. His wife has ties in.
Yep, she loves South Florida.
So it is a desirable place, especially when you're a senior like Tom Brady. So
it's part of the team.
You get part of the team, in which the Dolphins are notorious for having that celebrity stake in the team. About 20 or 30% of their team is up to like other celebrities and stuff like that. So that a lot of that makes sense. I'll be the first to say, at least between you and I, that I don't think that makes them a Super Bowl contender. It definitely makes them a deep into the playoffs contender.
Okay.
They were still missing some things that, I'll go back to that. I still think the Dolphins should have signed Bobby Wagner. He would have been a great pickup for 3 or 4 years, paid the man $12-13 million a year. Would have been a great pickup. I don't think Tom Brady is absolutely better than Tua, but I don't think just replacing those two with the offense they already had really set them apart.
Okay.
So I would say there was probably more to that than just the some things that were going on. I think there was some other things that probably had to happen. Albeit Gronk probably would have been a Dolphin as soon as that happened.
There you go. He loves South Florida.
Yeah, I will say, Gesicki's a little bit of a better tight end, at least at this point in his career. But yeah, that's. I mean, it's all speculation at that point. He's going to be in Tampa Bay this year. I think I told you when Peyton officially said he was no longer a Saint, and I was like, watch this, he's going to be a Dolphin. That was before I was even really reading the rumors of that stuff really floating around. So I wouldn't put it past Belichick to be maybe the greatest offseason move he's ever made is sending a text to the wrong person or whatever.
Best defensive play call he's ever had.
Best one he's ever made, right? So that's kind of crazy to think about. So, but we can think, we can speculate, we can talk. It didn't happen.
No.
I'm kind of curious. I will make a bold proclamation right now, though. And I have been thinking about this since we talked about this 4 or 5 days ago. The Dolphins are going to go deeper in the playoffs than the Bucks this year. It doesn't mean that either one of them make the playoffs at all, but I will tell you that as a team, I'm going to say the Dolphins go further than they do.
I like it.
So
I don't know. I haven't dove into the NFL and what's going on, and we got the draft
wheels
coming
have
up,
to fall off. He can't play this good forever. It's impossible.
It's Father Time over there, just whipping the ball across. I agree with you. It's eventually got to get. I feel like I watch Tom Brady, like I watch Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying they're the same quarterback, but I feel like they're one hit away from no longer playing
Turning
football.
into dust.
And one of them is because his ankle will sprain and he can't run anymore, and that takes away everything that makes him useful as a quarterback. The other one is because he's 50. Hey, he's not 50 yet, but he's getting there. And it probably hurts to have a 300-pound lineman just run right through you.
Absolutely. And I think those things are going to come into factor when, that's one of those things that, the Peyton Mannings and the Tom Brady's really separate themselves, in their prime is, Peyton Manning knew when to get rid of the ball when it's time to get rid of it, right?
Yep.
The interceptions he threw 99% of the time were in situations where an interception was okay to throw, if that makes sense. These guys know when to not take hits. They know when to not do it. Is he willing to not take a hit, or is he willing to take a hit at first week of the playoffs to get to the next game? Is Tom Brady willing to take that, knowing that it's going to end his life if it happens?
I don't know.
So
I think he knows.
He knows what he's going to do. We don't know. But I'm glad you mentioned him. You said Lamar Jackson, because we're going to spend about the last 10 minutes talking about Deshaun Watson. But Lamar Jackson still has yet to sign a contract extension with the Ravens. And I'm going to flat out ask it. Everybody here knows all one of us know how I feel about Lamar Jackson. Is he worth the $200+ million contract supposedly he has already turned down from the Ravens?
So I think Cleveland screwed him, because I can tell you what Deshaun Watson doesn't have. He doesn't have an MVP.
Yeah.
And that immediately is going to make Lamar Jackson get paid more. So I think Cleveland screwed him in that aspect. I'm with you in the fact that I don't believe Lamar Jackson is a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. I do believe personally that Lamar Jackson is the most exciting quarterback in the NFL right now. If you wanted to watch excitement and a brand and entertainment, Lamar Jackson's the guy, because he moves across the field. He can't be caught. But as you've learned over time, Lamar Jackson won't be running a 40 in his 40-year-old age at the combine for speed, because as you get older, you do not get faster. And eventually his arm has to be what takes over. And I think that's what Baltimore sees. They understand maybe. They seem to be a sound organization. They've always seemed to be a sound organization. Kind of like, I hate to say it, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh looks at a guy and they're like, hey, we'll pay you money we think you deserve. We're not going to pay you money you want. Absolutely. And if you don't want it, go somewhere else and get it. We'll find the next guy that does it. They do a great job of it. I believe Baltimore does the same thing. So I think it's foreshadowing for Lamar. He saw last year he got hurt. I wouldn't call it a major injury. He had maybe a minor injury. I don't know how bad it was. I don't play football on a regular basis and get paid millions of dollars to make that determination. But what did happen visually that I saw, and I can confirm with my eyeballs, is he could no longer move like he could, which took away the whole aspect of what he does. And I think Baltimore saw that as well, that immediately once that happened, he was useless. I hate to say useless, but useless.
No,
he was useless as the quarterback that he wants to be. You don't pay a guy $250 million to be the guy you think he's going to be. You pay the guy that money because he's going to be that guy for 10 years.
Yeah. Or he's already given you a Super Bowl.
And he hasn't done one, and I don't believe he can do the other. I don't know, man. We'll see. I brought that up to you. Lamar's a South Florida guy. He was recruited at Auburn. So I remember his recruitment days. He wasn't taken there. I don't remember the whole story behind it. But I did bring it up to you. Hey, Lamar's open to go somewhere and say Miami's the place to go, but he wants to get paid. How do you feel about that as a Dolphins fan?
I can't see it. I mean, I made a bold statement years ago that if Tim Tebow ever put a Dolphins jersey on, I would not pull for them. I would not watch them. I would not acknowledge them until he left. I think I'm ready to put Lamar Jackson there, and yeah, I just don't see it, man. Here's the thing: you lose a step, you can't play. You can't play the sport. He's the same thing for he's Zion in the NFL, who is amazing when he's healthy and he's doing things. Lamar Jackson's 2 best games of his career come against the Dolphins. I have watched this man play. All right, I have seen him play, but he loses an ankle, he can't play the position. Peyton Manning loses an ankle. You know what he still does? You'd never know. You would never know that if the man could be out there on 2 nubs and no feet, and you would still never know.
I told you, man. You tape the joints, you don't have to worry about him getting hurt.
That's right. I'll give it to perspective here, and I think from now on, I'm going to use Baker Mayfield as the basis of everything that I
love it.
That
He's about as baseline as you can use.
He is a
we'll call him Baker Baseline Mayfield.
I love it, baseline Mayfield. That's from now on. He has now been noted as that. He's played 60 games in his career. This is Baker Mayfield. Sorry, baseline Mayfield. He's a 500 guy. He's 29-30. He's trash. 62%, 14,000 yards, 92 touchdowns, and 56 interceptions. By all means, those are starter numbers, is what's really messed up about that. Yeah. Those are starting quarterback numbers. Lamar Jackson has played in the same amount. He's played 2 less games. His record is significantly better. He does have an MVP. He's only thrown for 2% better. So 15 years ago, 64% was great.
It's not good now.
64% now is like you need to be throwing at 60%.
Bottom of the line.
It is bottom of the line. It really is. When you start looking at some of these guys, like I think Jarrod Goff is over 64%.
I think you call it baseline.
It's a baseline. He's only thrown for 9,900 yards, 84 touchdowns. He's got 31 picks, so he does protect the ball a little bit better, but he's also not scoring in the air. So we're talking about a guy who's not even the best player on his team, who they can't find a team to trade him to. And compared him against Lamar Jackson, whose throwing numbers are fairly similar for the grand scheme of things, is wanting $200 million.
That's a lot.
I don't know how to wrap my head around it. I will make this statement: Lamar Jackson will never win a Super Bowl as a starting quarterback in the NFL, and it's not because of his skill set. It's because of he's made of glass, and he's going to have to go to a program to where there is at no point he needs to be the best player on the offensive side of the ball, because the second that he is, that team is not meant to win.
What if he went to like a San Francisco? Something like that with explosive players.
Now we're talking something a little different now. Now you put him in a team that takes
a track team, basically.
You put a track team in. Absolutely. I mean, that changes things drastically. And I would say a 49ers with Lamar Jackson is an automatic Super Bowl favorite.
Okay. I love it. All right. We promised fans Deshaun, so we'll get through it. Diggs, 4 years, $104 million. The man got paid. He deserves to be paid. Him and Jared Allen, I feel like, are going to do something great out there. We just don't know when it'll happen. Saints and Eagles made a minor, I call it a minor trade, but I feel like it's pretty important. They swapped a bunch of picks across the board. Both teams basically looking out to see what they needed, what they could get, and how they could do it the best. So good on them. I feel like it was kind of swept under the rug, but I thought it was pretty important, man. The Saints get 2 first-round picks this year for it, so good on them.
I had to pull up the actual.
Yeah, so the Saints had the 16th, 19th, and the 194th pick. The Eagles get the 18th, 101, 237, next year's first-round pick, and 2024 second. So, the Eagles kind of working. Well, I think the Saints realize they need a lot for this year, and they need a lot in rookie contracts because they don't hit the cap as hard. Those guys decided to spend a lot of money, and now they got nothing. Moving on.
Are they going to trade up that like 16?
I don't know. But what do you trade up for? You're not trading up for a quarterback this year. It's not happening.
I don't know. Do you trade them away? Because you're not going to do much with the 16th and 19th pick. Like, it's hard.
Well, you're getting guys in the draft that look like they're eligible at that point to be like that point. I don't know. But moving on. All right. We promised you Deshaun Watson. We're going to get to just Deshaun Watson. I don't even know why I can't say his name right now.
10 minutes of nonsense. Here we go.
Maybe even more. I don't know. Let's see where we run down the rabbit hole with this. So what was it, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago? I forget when it was. It came out. 22 sexual harassment. Is it harassment cases, assault cases? I believe. I don't think it was assault. It's not violent in nature. They were like harassment cases that got put out. Obviously, this year we learned twice now that none of them will be tried criminally, which I think is a big deal in the eyes of the football organization. But on that note, we'll kind of go down a line. So Big Ben, probably the biggest name that's been thrown around in that realm. 2010, 6-game suspension for a non-criminal charge of, I think it was rape. Actually, is what it was. But whatever we're calling it, it didn't go criminal. It definitely went down to a civil level. They got paid off, which he got reduced to 4 games. Then you got Zeke, which is not sexual harassment, but it falls in the lines of the same realm that the NFL deems as sexual harassment, sexual assault, domestic violence, and other what they call violent crimes. I think is how they demean them.
Probably a better way of putting it.
Zeke got 6 games in 2018. Jameis got 3 games because he was touchy-feely with an Uber driver back in 2010. And Kareem Hunt, I believe that was 2-3 years ago for domestic violence, was 8 games.
Yeah.
2018 was when the NFL came out with their big updated mandate of so it covers assault, battery, domestic violence, or sexual assault with force is what they called it, and that was an immediate 6-game suspension for first offense. Nobody knows what Deshaun's going to get. I feel like that's the big deal out of this. 22 cases. You can talk to conspiracy all you want. Did the Texans go out and find 22 people who maybe Deshaun made unhappy because he didn't want to be there anymore? And we all saw the just maybe the fire that the Texans were willing to create after everything that happened there. Just, hey, man, we don't care about the organization. Let's do what we can to do what we can. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for it. We did know Jerry Jones recently. He settled for $2.4 million with
His
someone.
own daughter.
Well, and there was more to that because there were
cheerleaders.
there were cheerleaders involved with that as well that got paid for sexual harassment charges that were, I don't want to say swept under the table. He didn't get criminal charges. It's a civil case. It kind of got, hey, we'll pay you the money. Get out of here. That's probably all he'll see. Robert Kraft a couple years ago had the masseuse incident down in Florida. It was a prostitution ring. Nothing got charged. He paid money. It was donated to charity. No big deal. Slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
So kind of the talk about this would be, where does this go? Where does Deshaun go with this? 22 cases. I'd hate to say it, but if I'm a numbers guy, and we call the show Statistically Opinionated, so it starts off with the numbers. You can't tell me that out of the 22, none of them are real. I hate to be a realist, but 22 is a big number.
Yeah. I'll lead off with the fact that I want to make sure I say this appropriately.
We're on the internet. You don't have to.
Fair enough. The Browns have made the appropriate measures that in a worst case, and when I say worst case, I mean financially and as far as a sports team goes.
Yeah.
In a worst case scenario, he's not
They're covered
for this year. They're covered for this year.
Yep.
Right? And I think it's one of the reasons you haven't seen Baker traded so fast is because they're going to be like, all right, NFL suspends this guy for a year. We'll put Baker out there and we're going to be like, hey, man, Baker, you've got a team that we can build around. Go show yourself off for a year. You're obviously not here next year. Here's your year to do it. It's hard to believe that there would be 22 cases and not one of them be true. Very few times in life has 22 things happened and 22 of them been a falsehood that I can think of. I mean,
I'm trying hard and I haven't been able to.
And then you go with as far as the NFL goes, does he not playing last year count towards the suspension?
Did he get paid?
He got a reduced salary from the $30 million he was owed, $33 million, $34 million, whatever where it was. He got paid $10 million. So do you make him pay the $10 million back, which is nothing, right?
No, they wouldn't do that.
Didn't even see that.
I don't think, yeah.
They could find the brakes off of him, right? They could just find the shit out of him.
Hey, man, you made 40-something million this year.
Here's the difference between all those cases, and I want to add two more cases that you didn't really bring up. Was Adrian Peterson did not play the entire 2014 season for a
This
DV
kid,
charge
right?
on his kid, right?
Yeah, I do
Um,
remember that.
and then you got the Washington football team, now the Galactic Warrior, whatever the Commanders,
The commies.
the commies, who have not only, Snyder paid a $10 million fine last year,
He
but
no
there's
longer runs the team.
no longer runs a team, and there's also more stuff coming along with that with these Gruden emails they still haven't even released yet. So, I would say, as the honest tax-paying American that I am, is if there's not a criminal case, then there's not a case. I'm not saying it's right that the man doesn't have a criminal case against him. That's not for me to judge. This is outside looking in. A Supreme Court has, a judge has actually looked at this two times now, has looked at this and be like, there's not enough here for a federal case or a case at all for a criminal case. Sorry, I'm once again trying to be a lawyer over here. There's not enough here to be a criminal case. We're not going to let this pursue. So I think
do this in Judge Judy.
It stops. It stops right there. Now, if they want to keep, pushing the issue, try to slander the guy, ruin his name, whatever you want to do, that's fine. You can pay him off if that's what you want to call it. But he's no longer a criminal in the eyes of the court. He never was, but he is not going to be tried as a criminal in the eyes of the court, which is kind of the difference of a lot of these guys you have named who did serve big time suspensions.
They did because they were founded to be criminals. Minus like Ben didn't get so he got reduced and he paid off. Jerry would be another one. He's not criminal, but I mean, based off of reading everything I've read, it doesn't look good for Jerry. But Jerry's out there.
Most of those cases, though, with Big Ben and Ezekiel Elliott and Jerry Jones, they never even made it to the point to where they were going to even see if it was a criminal case.
No, not at all.
That's a totally different aspect.
This is kind of unprecedented in a way
it really
because it's hey, let's see if it's criminal first. Almost like let's ruin. I don't want to say let's ruin everything. Like you said, 22 of something. It's hard to believe not one is something real. Yeah. So in that aspect, I do believe, hey man, maybe there's some issues here to work on, but you've been founded 100% by the judicial system, which I don't work with or do anything with at all. No part of it. So they decided you're not a criminal. You're not a criminal. Now, do you go to some sort of court where you're paying people for, whatever they call it, losses, whatever it is along the way? That's a totally different story. And then it's the NFL's job the czar Goodell in there just figuring out how he wants to make this happen. I don't have an answer for it. I am a person that watches football from an entertainment aspect. I like watching football because I love watching football. It's enjoyable.
Yeah.
It is less enjoyable to watch the Texans start 9 different quarterbacks because Deshaun Watson couldn't play football.
Yeah.
There is an entertainment value that has been lost in that aspect of it. Now, do I believe that there's some penance he pays or whatever? I don't know what you want to call the word because of what happened. If it's true, yeah, I mean, sure. But at the end of the day, that's on him and that's on whoever else is dealing with this issue. I'm just here to watch football.
I don't think that's for Roger Goodell and the league to determine. That's kind of where I'm making my stance on that.
But over the years, Goodell has shown himself to be the person that, I don't want to say that does this because there's plenty of cases where he says one thing and does another. He's done this aspect in a case where the media and mainstream has been invited into it. Just look at Ray Rice. I believe Ray Rice was a 2-game suspension. And everybody watched the video of Ray Rice. You can't deny the fact that Ray Rice beat the crap out of his fiance wife. I don't remember what it was exactly. But a 2-game suspension after a rule that he inflicted that says you automatically get a 6th game for acts like that. So I don't know. I don't know where it goes, but I can tell you this. To me, honestly, as a football fan, as a guy that's watching football, if he did it, it happened. He pays that price with whatever deals with happens there. I watch football from the aspect of Deshaun Watson plays football. He didn't play for a whole year. That whole year is gone now. That's his football legacy, whatever you want to call it. What else do you ask? I don't know.
I completely agree. I don't think Roger Goodell's in any position to be the law,
He's not a
right?
Supreme Court Goodell or anything,
Yeah.
Chief
I mean,
Justice Goodell.
it's true. Like, if just think of like what kind of precedence is being established with, hey, you were found completely innocent of whatever charges, but we're still going to suspend your ass. Like I just don't. It's hard for me to wrap my head around it. Now that being said, like the turmoil of the Browns, watching, it's comical in that sense that just whatever the hell happens in Cleveland, I laugh
Oh yeah,
at. But
yeah.
I mean, I have to say from the outside looking in, like if there was a court case going on, like a criminal case, absolutely, the guy, you shouldn't be allowed to play the game because
And he didn't. He didn't because they didn't know what was going to happen.
I think it's
And
off. You got to let him go. I think you got to let him play.
he did exactly what you could do in that situation. Criminally, it looked like there was a possibility where he could be founded to be guilty. So he didn't play football. He didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
And now that all that's in the back door, granted for whatever victims are part of this or anything, like that's a totally different situation. Like, but he did what he should have done for that aspect. And I don't know, man. He's going to make almost what $50 million this year, or he made it already. Really,
he got the bag. That's for sure.
And he could go play football.
That being said, those numbers we talked about earlier, he is a 54 game guy, almost 15,000 yards, 104 touchdowns, and 36 picks. He's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL.
100%.
So the Browns just went from where a Baker Mayfield is the only reason.
Baseline.
Baseline Mayfield is stopping us from doing the things we're going to do. We're probably the best team in the NFL right now.
I agree with you. And as a Carolina fan, watching the whole thing unfold, knowing that Carolina had a play in possibly getting him, there were a lot of like things I read like, no, we don't want that guy out here. We don't want him out here. He's got issues. At the end of the day, he is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and all I care about is Carolina winning football games.
Oh, yeah.
So if he did nothing that is criminally wrong, I don't care.
He's on the Dolphins roster right now. People are saying something totally different about the AFC East. I'll say that.
Yep. Right. It'd be a wild show between the Bills and the Dolphins.
Absolutely.
Oh man, it almost brings up a good talk. I know we're running a little late there, but Calvin Ridley earlier, 2 months ago, gets suspended for a year, done, and seeing the only way I can talk about that in references, we talked about it earlier. The NFL is a business.
Yep.
The business is in dollars, and they want to make money. And Calvin Ridley took the one thing that the game
money out of people's hands.
Yeah, the one thing that the game can't do is make it seem like it's fixed, or in some way the players have a different hand other than playing the game out on the field in winning or losing. And the NFL came down and told him, "Hey, man, here's a lesson you can learn, young buck."
Well, here's ultimately and this is probably not the correct way of saying this, is there is a place in professional sports for some ambiguity, some vague, there's shit in the air. Hey, you may be going to jail. You may not go to jail. You may have done something bad. You may not have. Until it's official, there's some leeway with playing. There is no room in professional sports when you just look across the 4 major sports in the U.S. and it's $30-40 billion a year that are being thrown around. I don't care if you're cheating for your team to win or cheating for them to lose. There's no, or I should say, fixing the games, not cheating, because guys cheat across the board. But you can't fix a game anyway. You can't
fix a way to make yourself money. You're already making money, man.
You can't.
The best thing I can use. We'll talk about baseball here for a second. Pete Rose. Pete Rose will never make it into the Hall of Fame, even though probably the greatest hitter to ever play baseball, because there's no absolute way to determine if at any point he fixed the game.
Fix a game. Yeah. There's no way to prove it. You can never.
No matter what he says, there's no way to prove ever that he didn't fix a game. And baseball basically told him, "Hey, man, this is what you get for it." Who was it? NBA. It was maybe a decade ago. Who was the ref
Oh,
He was super Donahue. Yeah. Wasn't he fixing games or whatever? And immediately, like the NBA was like, "Hey, buddy, see you later. Enjoy your life. You're done here." Like
he was on a Donahue. Yeah, was on a recent podcast. I will owe that to you in a text of him talking about how they fix games, and it's bizarre.
Is it really?
He's completely open about it.
So he doesn't even like. Oh man, I love it. I want to listen to it then.
There's direct conversations that he has with players on the court. And I think it wasn't Westbrook, but there was somebody who was still relevant right there at the end, right before he got caught. It wouldn't have been Westbrook, but there was another guard, and he was like, "That's how it's going to be tonight. You know why it's going to be this way." He's like, "Don't try this. This is what's going to happen every single time you do it." And they would roast him for it.
I gotta hear this.
It's great to hear him talk about it. So I know we kind of went off there a little bit, but that's a great show. I will find that for you because it's amazing to listen to, because he talks about the on-court conversations they have, and like he's like, we fixed the game. Who cares? We made a lot of money.
Oh, I love it. But to the point though, like the NBA saw it, Major League Baseball's seen it, and now you've seen it in the NFL. If you make it look like you're making money off the result of a game that isn't just the entertainment aspect, you're done. They don't care. Those people are here. Maybe that's what it is. Everything we've talked about today, those guys are here to make money. It's business, and that's what they do on a regular basis. They don't care.
Which kind of brings me up to like what we'll probably talk about next week. We will tread lightly with this topic because I do want to hit on it, but we're going to talk about the Rooney Rule a little bit, and some of the things that are coming up. Some maybe suggestions of how we implement other things within the league and other sports. So that kind of goes along with that's how we'll caveat into that, if you will. Craziness, man. Hopefully we kind of hit on those topics that we really wanted to with Deshaun Watson, and everything we've pretty much talked about kind of leads into like what are we going to see over the next few weeks or few months. So kind of pumped about that.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we'll have NBA playoffs going on next weekend. I think baseball still happens for another 18 months. I think that's how long the season is. I don't remember.
Around for a while. Nothing to worry about.
So, yeah, I actually think we make it through almost the whole football season before it's done. So, yeah, we'll get there at some point. But, yeah, we'll be back next weekend talking sports, I don't know, get on the page, give us something you want to hear. We'll look it up. We'll talk about it. I'm not going to lie, though. I'm going to bring it up again. Savannah Bananas. Man, if you guys haven't had a chance, go look at what baseball could be. And I'm not saying they need to implement everything, but, man, does it look fun. I want to go. I want to drive 9 hours to go watch a baseball game. I never thought I'd say that in my life.
You can expect weekly updates with the Savannah Bananas and maybe a shirt one of us wearing because they've got me. I'm hooked.
Yep, I'm in on it.
Just like Ryan said, check us out anywhere you can download a podcast. You can find us Spotify, Amazon, all that good stuff. You can find us there. We share over across Ready Break as one of the big Facebook groups. There's about 4 or 5 others. I'll end up posting a list on that in the next couple of days of other groups we share across. Check us out.
YouTube,
Twitch, and Twitter.
Look at that, man.
We're probably going to have to decide over this week because we only share to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch as we live stream. I'm probably going to remove YouTube or Twitch to add Twitter so you can have.
Get rid of Twitch. Get rid of Twitch. It's just gamers on there. Yeah. I don't want to see people shooting each other.
Well, we'll keep it going. We'll still post to Twitch, but we'll probably start broadcasting over Twitter. Be a little easier. But please share your comments. Come join us. Tell us what you want to talk about, and let's make this as exciting as possible. I don't have anything else, man.
No, I had fun. I enjoyed everybody that came out to watch. If you liked us, like us, go find us. If you didn't like us, tell us why you didn't like us so we can change it. We'll tell you we don't care. And then tell your friends about us, and we'll keep growing and see what happens, man.
Bring some data to back it up, and we can have a conversation. That's what I'll say.
There you go. Statistics. I think I'll bring you the opinion.
I love it. All right, man. We'll see you next week.
See it.